In today's video, we're going to talk about MainStage 3, what it is, what it can do for you, and why churches around the world are now using this software. Let's take a look. Hey guys, I'm David from Sunday Sounds, where our focus is making software like MainStage simple and easy for any church worship team to get started with. And that's the topic of today's video. We're going to be talking about MainStage. If you're a part of a church worship team, you've probably heard of this software by now. It's become very, very popular over the last several years, but 5, 6, 7 years ago, it was pretty much unheard of, and it's been a big game changer for a lot of worship teams. So in today's video, I'm going to talk about what MainStage is, the gear that you need to use it, and help you decide if it's the right direction for you to take your live keys rig. So let's get right into it. To start off with, what is MainStage 3? MainStage is an application made by Apple that runs exclusively on Mac computers. It's a sister product to Logic Pro 10, which you've probably heard of. This is a popular recording platform, a DAW, and MainStage takes all of the audio processing functionality of Logic and packages it up in a template or a visual that's designed for live performance specifically. MainStage is only $30 in the App Store. And that's one of the big things that churches really love about the software is it's very, very affordable. MainStage has been around for quite a while now. Back in the day, there was MainStage 2 with Logic 9, and the very first version of MainStage was included in Logic Pro 8. But MainStage 3 is really the first version of the software that's taken off with tons and tons of live performance-oriented folks and contexts. The benefit statement on MainStage's App Store page is sound as good live as you do in the studio. So the original purpose of MainStage was to help producers and musicians who were using Logic for their productions to take those same sounds and use them in a live context. So let's compare the MainStage route to a more traditional hardware keyboard approach. With hardware, you purchase a keyboard and you're generally getting a big bank of sounds that are a part of that keyboard, and then you're locked into those for the lifetime of that keyboard. Contrasting that to the MainStage route, inside of the software, there's not really many limitations to what you can accomplish. You can add any plugins, any sounds, any audio effects that you'd like. You're only limited by your budget, the strength of your computer, and the amount of time that you're willing to invest. And I think that's one of the reasons that MainStage has been so popular with the church audience, because church music changes so quickly over time. And with the software approach, we're able to make sure that we can keep up with the new sounds, pads, synths, and textures that are constantly appearing on new albums and singles. With MainStage, you're not locked into a specific set of sounds. You have a lot of potential to push the limits into new types of sounds in your keys rig. A little bit of backstory about my experience with MainStage. I discovered it back when I was on staff at a local church here in my hometown. I was leading the youth group worship band at the time, and we had a 1990s era keyboard that had a bank of built-in hardware sounds that were really not up to the task of covering a lot of modern worship music. It was a real struggle for me as the leader of my team to try and get my keys players excited about playing these songs when they could just tell that the sounds were not the same. They weren't filling the same space. They didn't have that same level of contribution that they were hearing on the original versions. So back then I didn't have a very big worship team budget, but I did already own a Mac computer. When I found out that MainStage was only $30 in the App Store, I downloaded it on the church Mac and instantly started trying to figure out how I could make it work for my worship team. Eventually, it did end up being a big game changer, but initially, I had a lot of frustration, a lot of time wasted, a lot of time over-invested in trying to figure out how the heck I was going to make this software work for my own local worship team. Okay, now let's talk about why churches love MainStage. Oftentimes folks say that MainStage is super affordable. I even hear the word cheap thrown out there when MainStage is the topic of discussion. And I think that's kind of true, but also kind of false, because MainStage only runs on Mac computers, which are not cheap, and some would say are not affordable. So MainStage is only $30, but Apple uses the low price of MainStage to sell you Mac hardware. So I'll say, if you already own a Mac capable of running MainStage, then yes, MainStage is super affordable. If you don't already own a Mac, then it's a good investment, but I'm not saying it's not a worthwhile investment to make, even if you don't already own a Mac. Just keep in mind that it's $30, but you also have to own, $1,000, $2,000 prerequisite piece of hardware in order to really get everything out of MainStage itself. With that being said, if you do already own a Mac, there's a 99% chance you can use the hardware keyboard that you already have, just connecting it to your computer via a MIDI cable. So if you own a Mac, it can be really, really inexpensive to get started. Back to my example, I had a Mac, I had a keyboard that could send MIDI, so I bought a $15 adapter cable to connect my keyboard to my computer, and then I bought, I think, a $6 cable to connect the headphone jack of my computer to the soundboard. So for $21 in hardware and $30 in software, I had a beginner level MainStage rig ready to go. So MainStage for $30 comes with thousands and thousands of sounds, and one of the most powerful and popular features of MainStage is how customizable it is. Not only can you dial in custom sounds, which are called patches in MainStage, but you can also pretty much fully customize the visual workspace that you see on screen. This is a little bit of a double-edged sword because there are very few limitations, and that can be a really great thing and inspire lots of creativity. But that same lack of limitations can also make it really hard to find your way. But if you're willing to spend the time dialing in your visual workspace and the sounds that you want you and your worship team to use, then MainStage can absolutely give you professional quality live performance results. Plus, there's all sorts of other cool stuff you can do. You can run backing tracks if you'd like. It's really, really easy to dial in complex layered splits. There's really cool features like the ability to trigger chords from a single note. There's so much that MainStage can do. It's an incredibly powerful program for $30. And I think that's one of the main reasons it has been such a game changer for so many churches. Another great thing about a laptop-based setup that uses MainStage is you can leave the keyboard gear in place and take your laptop to your office or take it home, plug it into another keyboard in a different venue at your church, and your sounds are really portable. They can move around the church or around your office with you. You can program at home, take it to rehearsal, plug in, and be ready to play. Okay, now that we've talked about some of the reasons that your church might benefit from using MainStage, let's talk about a few of the things that you might want to watch out for if you choose to go the MainStage route. So I already talked about this a little bit, but MainStage can be pretty intimidating and it can take a lot of effort to get started with the software. Whether you're planning to use MainStage yourself, or if you're a worship leader who's going to give it to your keys volunteers to use, you want to make sure that you have a clear understanding of how to set you and your team up for success. In the hardware world, there's a lot of built-in restrictions. Those can be frustrating, but they can also be very helpful in making sure that you can't do stuff that's not going to sound good. You can't overload the output of a hardware keyboard to create distortion or clipping. That's really not that hard to do in software like MainStage. You can also set up a visual workspace to be whatever you want it to be, but that can take a lot of time and effort. And if you're like me and you go too hard into that too fast, your volunteers might be really, really intimidated by this new technology that they're being asked to use. The second thing to look out for is that don't assume it's going to be really easy for you to dial in great sounds. That was the mistake I made when I was a new MainStage user. I thought thousands and thousands of presets, I'm going to find just what I need. I ended up taking hours and hours tweaking and scrolling through endless lists of presets and getting pretty mediocre results as a new MainStage user. So make sure that you have the time and the ear to invest in dialing in and curating a list of worship patches. Because the factory patch library in MainStage is the same as Logic Pro's, there's a bunch of production-oriented sounds that cover a wide range of genres. This is great if you're a producer, but for a worship musician, it means that you're going to be scrolling through tons of house, techno, world music patches to try and find a simple piano or an awesome worship pad. So make sure you're prepared to spend a lot of time digging to find the good sounds. And when you do, that you're comfortable figuring out how to make sure you can find them again and make tweaks so that they sit right in your mix. Now, lastly, you want to make sure that your computer is actually up to the task of running MainStage during a live performance. The last thing you want for you or for a volunteer is to run into technical glitches or, heaven forbid, a computer crashing and leaving you without any keys at all. So make sure that you don't have just any computer, but that you actually do some research to make sure your computer is up to the task of running MainStage. If your live rig isn't reliable, then it's just not worth using. All right, so the big question, should you use MainStage for your own church's worship team? Well, lots of other churches are using it, so that means an obvious yes, right? I mean, no, a little bit yes. Lots of churches use MainStage because it's an amazing resource that can be a game changer for the worship keys position at your church. But just because lots of churches use it doesn't mean it's necessarily the right choice for you. You want to make sure the time is right for you and/or your volunteers. Make sure you have the budget to afford the gear that you need. Make sure you are willing to invest the time to set yourself and your team up for success by creating the right workspace, finding or creating the right worship patches, and then taking the time to teach yourself and your volunteers how to navigate the software live. And you need to make sure that your computer is up to the task. Now, like I said, MainStage has been a game changer for me. We are big fans of the software here at Sunday Sounds, and a big part of our focus is helping folks like you watching this video achieve great results and find success inside of MainStage. So whether you choose to use MainStage is a question that only you and your church can answer. If you decide that you're gonna go this route, then we have some great resources that can make it a little bit easier for you. To start off with, we have a free video course that comes in 5 parts called the MainStage Basics course. I'll put a link in the description to this video. You just enter your email address and we'll send the videos your way. We talk about a lot of the same things that I've touched on in this video, but in a great amount of detail without taking up hours and hours of your time. We talk about the hardware you need, picking the right computer, and then we actually walk you through opening the software for the first time and even creating your first worship patches and getting into setting up a visual workspace that makes sense for you and for your church. So if you're a DIY kind of person and you've got some time to invest in setting things up, then check out the MainStage Basics course where you'll learn how to do just that. If you want something that's done for you and that's plug and play, then we'll also include a link in the description to our Sunday Keys template. This is our flagship resource at Sunday Sounds. Sunday Keys is designed to make MainStage easy for anybody to use because we've done all the work of programming amazing worship patches, creating a super intuitive visual workspace that's color-coded, and it's all ready for live performance. So if you need something done for you and you want to start playing with MainStage right now and getting great results, then check out Sunday Keys. There's a link in the description to that resource as well. Lastly, if you're a worship keys player, we always put out new videos every single week on worship keys playing, MainStage, and other software like Ableton Live. So if this video was helpful, be sure you subscribe, hit the like button and the notification bell so you don't miss our next video. Thanks for watching. Have a great day.